Hi again. We're in John Wesley Bready, This Freedom Whence, England Before and After Wesley, page 60, in the chapter Politics, Penal Code and Prisons. When Dr. Johnson, in his dictionary, defined Whig as the name of a faction and declared patriotism the last refuge of the scoundrel, he was turning a realist eye on the politics of much of his lifetime. Popular representation was so corrupted as to be almost a dead letter. Election petitions were heard and decided solely by favour or party in the House of Commons, while designing politicians were pigging together in the same truckle trough, the better to feed upon the state. Of this plutocracy of nobles, Judwine says, they were supported by great wealth and enormous borough interest. The Secret Service money was at their disposal. The whole official world, owing to their tenure of office, was filled with their partisans, including the bishops. And again, as each faction supplanted the other, they arranged the shift by providing the retiring official with a pension or a title or both. Their use of the revenues of the country to fill their own pockets is too large a subject for any one volume. One need not, however, as Johnson observed, eat a whole ox to tell if the meat be tough. And of the rare toughness of the English political carcass during the first 6 decades of the 18th century, there can be no doubt. No doubt. It has tried the temper and the digestion of many a hardy historian. Pulteney said that political parties like snakes are moved by their tails, and he knew whereof he spoke. For at this time the murky end of politics was its propelling force. Bribery, duplicity, and deceit were the cogs and levers of the political machine. Lecky, that great social historian we've referred to in the prior segments, says of the assembly behind Walpole's government that it was saturated in corruption. And if it inherited much of this corruption, it propagated more. Well into the second half of the century, members of Parliament enjoyed immunity from all actions of law and suits of equity, thus being able to defy their creditors, while to their servants was extended the same immunity. Not till the early years of George III, moreover, were press reports of parliamentary debates permitted to the public. Hence the secrecy originally conceived as a protection against the absolutism of the king was perverted into a shelter from the supervision of the constituencies. Parliamentary representation, therefore, at many points was a farce. Some venal boroughs, like Old Sarum, without house or inhabitant, sent 2 members to Parliament, while large centres of the growing industrial population, such as Manchester, had no member at all. 18th century politicians long preceded the doctrine of the survival of the fittest, but their glib, soulless deism, with its religion of nature and its paganistic morality, made them strangely familiar with the sharp claw, the bloody tooth, and the mailed fist. The spirit of the century was one of ruthless individualism, and nowhere was it more ruthlessly expressed than in politics. If one were cousin to a lord, then the lord would provide, such provision generally taking the form of a sinecure post, possibly a paid commission in the army to a young lady or a child. But the political life of the average subject consisted in obeying the laws devised under the happy constitution by his betters, in paying the taxes, tithes, tolls, and duties imposed by the ruling oligarchy, and in hoping that he escape the press gang, the highwaymen, the stocks, the debtor's prison, or the gallows, all of which were characteristic institutions of the land of liberty in the age of reason. Put a link into Jonathan Edwards. He was the voice of divine reason on the other side of the Atlantic at this very same time. And the title of this specific segment is "The Gospel is Not About Us."